Welcome back to Hampton Downs. The race start for the Altherm 1000. 4 hours of racing to look forward to, and we will show you the highlights. Lights are out and we're underway, and it looks like the Cunningham 997's got the initial jump down into turn number 1, joined in commentary by former New Zealand V8 champ Mark Pedersen, and Mark, the Carter's Falcon, making the start but out of pit lane.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue, Jamie, to be honest. It could be the safest place to be. Just let the race establish for 1 or 2 laps, then start charging. Look, this is a long race. There's a lot to happen that's going to unfold as we go on, of course. So, look, a little bit of a disadvantage. If it was a sprint race, it'll be over for them, but it's not. It's an endurance, so maybe just a hiccup. 4
hours is a long way around this Hampton Downs Motorsport Complex. The Joblin Silverton Nissan also starting out of pit lane. They must have had some issues after qualifying, so they've decided to start out of pit lane as well. So it's Mitch Cunningham leading away from Andrew Bagnall. A pair of 997s. There's the McLennan Innes 996, recent winner of the Pukekohe 6 Hour and the New World Metro 996, and the Evans brothers. Mitch Evans, he's got into this car and he's been blindingly quick.
That's just the talent of Mitch, isn't it? No matter what he jumps in, no matter what he's competing in, he's just a sensation. And I've said it before and I say it again, I believe he is actually New Zealand's next Formula 1 driver.
Well, he's slotted into that 4th position, chasing down the McLennan Innes 996. One of the front runners in the 996 championship this past season with the Batterytown Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. And Mark, not so much of a surprise that the Porsches really did qualifying other than the ECU issues with the Carter's Falcon.
Look, the Porsche, Jamie, it's designed to do this kind of racing. It's designed for sprint racing, but also the endurances, 12, 24 hours up in Europe, and that's what we're seeing here. That's why these cars will just circulate. Now, Eli will be on the radio to these guys soon, although it's only 1 or 2 laps, and says, guys, our predetermined lap time is this. We need you to stick to that because we know the cars will last through the whole duration. The one thing we need to keep an eye on with this car, any other car for that matter, is the brakes. This is a hard circuit. There's lots of acceleration and heavy braking. One corner leads into a straight and into another corner. That, I believe, is going to be the determined issue, is the brakes, and can any of these cars last?
And lots of extra load too, especially out of turn number 6, which is, I think the guys were talking about up to 3 Gs as in an open wheel car. But there's so many different lines around Hampton Downs. There's passing lines, there's fast lines, and there's some different opportunities to make passes at different parts of the racetrack.
Yeah, look, Jamie, you just brought up one of the keys to success in this race is the different interpretations. Now, all these guys are racing with each other. There's very few interpretations, but of course when they come in to start lapping slow at traffic, they don't know, is this guy going up high and let me through, or is that just his racing line? And you know, when we get into our 1, 2, 3 and towards the end of the race, that is going to be the key to success.
Well, the Carter's Falcon's already worked its way inside the top 10. Dwayne Carter starting the X888 Racing car that was last driven by John Bow for the Paul Cruikshank team a few seasons ago. They've made some changes to this car. Notably, probably the biggest aspect is the bigger wheel package with that V8 Falcon Supercar. So this is 3rd and 4th. McLennan Innes chased by the Evans Banklink 996, and there's lots of different class categories in the Altherm 1000. This is the 996 battle that we're watching now. We've got the 997 class as well, and then you go through the field, you've got the minis competing against each other. We've got an open class, we've got production racing, and of course the Suzuki Swift class as well. So lots of class battles to watch through this Altherm 1000. There's Timmy Martin in the Ian Hayer GT3 RS, and this is not a purpose-built GT3 Cup car. This is a converted road car, Mark.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a thoroughbred. You know, it's probably got bigger engines, bigger brakes than other cars, but you know, of course, when you put more horsepower and bigger brakes into cars, it doesn't necessarily make them quicker over 1 or 2 laps. It'll make it quick over the endurance. Interesting, there's actually a little bit of smoke coming off that car. I don't know if that was dust or actually maybe a technical issue. Let's keep an eye on that, but maybe early green will settle in for this car already.
Well, early laps. So this car's running in the open class up against the likes of the Carter's V8 Supercar Falcon. Some of the other cars, the likes of Jeff Short in the Altherm Mitsubishi Evo, he's running in the open class as well. Not competing in the production racing series. Obviously, they've got some differences between that car and some of the other production racing cars, but more on that throughout the coverage of the Altherm 1000. So just the early laps settling into a little bit of a rhythm. I spoke to the Carters before the race, and they were looking at about 3 pit stops with maybe the possibility included in that of a splash and dash, and that's dependent on no safety cars. I think we will see some safety cars. Did you get any of the plans from some of the Porsche teams as to where they were going to settle in with their pit stops?
Yeah, the general consensus is it's going to be 3 pit stops. They're just going to come in, keep the thing full of fuel the whole time, and take the opportunity to do the tyres. But also part of that will be a surveying of the brakes. So when the teams take the tyres off, they have a quick look at everything, make the decision, yeah, we're fine, put the tyres on, send it out for another hour or so.
On-board shots there with Dwayne Carter in the Carter's Falcon. So he's already worked his way up onto the back of the tail end Porsches. That's Alan Dippy and Mark Madron in the Lone Star Wanaka Porsche 996. They've had some strong runs recently in some of the club enduro races around the country. Alan Dippy finished 3rd in class in a BMW 130 at the recent Bathurst 12-hour in Australia. So he's got some endurance racing experience back on board with the Carter's Falcon, chasing down the Dippy 996, and he'll pick him up pretty easily down into turn number 6.
Yeah, look, just nice clean out on the inside. There's obviously a bit of lap traffic right there. That's the Nissan, which started from pit lane. But these Carters guys, I said at the beginning of the show, Jamie, they're just picking everybody off one by one. Just listen. Oh, it's magnificent sound, isn't it? But look at the lead. You know, we're talking about 600 or 700 metres further down the track. He's probably got 1 or 2 seconds. That's just the speed and the ease these guys, the Carter boys, are doing it.
Well, this car didn't contest qualifying. They were running around in the 106s in the 2 test sessions before the 2 qualifying sessions. The 2 drivers each got a qualifying session, and the fastest time from each of those 2 sessions set the grid for the Altherm 1000. So just looking at lap times, they're running around in the low 106s at the moment, and the likes of the Dippy Madron's 996 probably running in around that sort of 109, 110 bracket.
Sorry, James, look, that's Tim Martin's car again. You'll see at the back there's that puff of smoke. Whether it's part of the gear change system, a little bit of oil coming out somewhere, but it's the second time we've seen that now. It's coming out the back of the car. As I said, maybe the gremlins are starting to come in, but see the flames getting thrown out the side of the Carter's car and the gear change.
Very cool car, working his way through lap traffic. That's the Ryan Collinson Suzuki Swift, and they had their own dramas through qualifying. They broke a gear selection cable, and the team actually sent someone back to Hamilton and Winger Suzuki to get a replacement. So good to see they've made the start. But the Carter's up into 6th, chasing down the Heyer Martin 996 GT3 RS. Timmy Martin at the wheel.
Hey, Jamie, look, all the way through there's going to be battles go on, and every driver has different things they've got to take care of. You've got to sympathise for the slow guys. So when I say the slow guys, the guys in the little cars, they have to spend as much time looking in the rear vision mirror as they do in front, because the speed difference between these cars, there could be maybe 100 kilometres an hour difference going up the front straight there. So when these guys come out of turn 6, they look in the mirror, there'll be no one there. When they go into braking zone for turn 1, the car could be in the inside. So let's spare a little bit of thought for these guys. They've got double duties, because not only they've got to look backwards, they've got to look forward.
Dwayne Carter just rolling the throttle on ever so gently out of the hairpin. You can see how much steering lock he has to use at that part of the track. And there's an 11-metre elevation change from top to bottom with this Hampton Downs Motorsport Complex.
Yeah, look, and part of the reason, going back to why the Carters had to have so much input, is they're not using all the speed or all of the gears they're entitled to. It's a 6-speed sequential gearbox. He's probably using 2nd or 3rd gear in there just to make the car conservative. If he went down to 1st or 2nd gear, it makes it easier to turn in. You've got mid-corner speed, but comes more durability. The car uses up more brakes, more gearboxes, everything gets hotter. So sometimes you've got to use a different gear, use the tyres up a little bit more, hope that the car will last the 4 hours.
So Mitch Cunningham, the race leader in the placemakers, 997 from the Bagnall, Pedersen 997, and it's a pair of 996s in 3rd and 4th with Mitch Evans out in front of the McLennan Innes 996, and the Carters now up into 5th, and they are flying.
They're using every inch of road. You see they have the right-hand side up on the curb there. He needs to keep going. He knows that, look, at some stage we're coming in from pit stops. Okay, here we go, the top 10 board coming up. So we've got Cunningham in 1st, Bagnall, Pedersen, that's a good effort in 2nd there. And Carter's already up to 5th place. It's tremendous effort considering they did start from pit lane.
And Mark, that's one of the fun aspects of this endurance racing, and it's been a while since we've seen top-level premium endurance racing around New Zealand. There's lots of club-level type events in the North Island and the South Island with the likes of the Pukekohe 6-hour, of course. There's a 3-round North Island Endurance Series and a South Island Endurance Series. Oh, that was Mitch Evans.
Here we go, look, 4 into 1, because there's another car on the outside here.
I think that was the Heingartner Mini that he just ran down the side of off the exit of turn number 1. So a clash early. Has that done any damage to the bank link number 11 996?
Look, there's a bit of a kiss, but that's what I was saying earlier in the show. That's the interpretation. feeding your way through the traffic. It's all very well going from point A to point B as quick as you can, but you've got to understand what these other guys are doing. The Mini, he's at every right to do what he wants to do. He's in this race as well. The other guys, that's part of endurance racing.
You can see the different lines through turn 5, the hairpin with that elevation drop off the top part of the corner. So the Carter's Falcon now up into 4th and looking for third. Down the inside of the Banklink Porsche 996. Mitch Evans recently been campaigning in Australia in the Australian Formula 3 Championship, of course the reigning Toyota Racing Series champion here in New Zealand, just 15 years of age, and he's hustling around Hampton Downs in a full-spec GT3 Cup car.
Yeah, look, I'll continue to say he's doing an amazing job, but here we go, the Carter's boys, another one, it's one of the lap cars. You see how far off he was just off the apex? Had to make a decision, do I go or don't I?
So the Carter's Falcon now up in the 3rd position. We'll be back with more from Hampton Downs after this.